In 1993, a legendary franchise was unleashed from the depths of hell, one that would change the gaming landscape forever. Doom. Developed by id Software, wasn't just any first-person shooter, it was the first-person shooter. It shaped the genre into what it is today, and while doing so became a pop culture phenomenon. It also brought a level of violence and brutality that hadn't really been seen in any game prior. So much so that it was one of the very first games to get hit with an M rating from the ESRB. After spawning countless sequels, the franchise turned into a sleeping giant. And after 23 years, that giant awoke from its deep slumber with a bloodlust that would wreak havoc on the FPS genre for the second time. This is the legacy of Doom 2016. Before its highly anticipated release in 2016, the game underwent a very lengthy development cycle. One would even say it was in development hell. The production of what was once named Doom 4 officially began on May 7, 2008. It was stated that half of the studio would work on Rage, which was id Software's brand new IP at the time, and the other half would assume the role of working on Doom 4. The problem with this, of course, was that Rage kind of swayed the production of Doom, adding elements that weren't native to the series. At one point, it was described as having Rage-like combat, and it was promised by John Carmack to have better graphics than Rage. The relation to Rage would be a common theme moving forward and would ultimately change the outcome of the game. The original version of Doom 4 was more scripted and cinematic and took heavy inspiration from more modern FPS games at the time, specifically the Call of Duty franchise. The plot focused on a post-apocalyptic world where hell had invaded Earth. This played into the themes already present in Doom 2. The gameplay focused heavily on melee combat as opposed to the arcade-like run-and-gun shooter that made the franchise so iconic. These melee mechanics would eventually be redesigned and repurposed for Doom 2016 in the form of glory kills. And the cherry on top, of course, was the absence of Doom Guy. Instead, you would play as a generic foot soldier. This all led to a game that shared the franchise's namesake, not its identity. It was eventually scrapped and redeveloped after id Software changed their mind on where they wanted the Doom franchise to go, especially since Rage failed to meet the company's expectations, and because Doom 4 had too many Rage-like elements, it was best to go back to the drawing board. So that's exactly what they did, and they began development again from scratch in 2011. And 3 years later, on July 17, 2014, it was revealed at QuakeCon that the title was officially rebranded as just Doom, serving as a soft reboot of the series. This decision was thanks to Marty Stratton, Hugo Martin, and Kevin Cloud. This brand new direction for Doom would serve as an homage to the original games and a love letter to the genre it popularized. Looking back at the story of Doom 2016, what really stood out to me is its simplicity on the surface while also having a rather deep underbelly. The story is driven by action rather than dialogue. In a way, it reminds me of Mad Max Fury Road, which relied heavily on its action and visuals to tell a compelling story. And much like Max, our protagonist is not the type that likes conversation. The story centers around the Doomslayer, who after awakening from his sarcophagus is immediately thrown in the pure chaos for the sole purpose of cleansing the world of demon filth. He dons the legendary Praetor armor, which in itself is forged from the fires of hell, striking fear in the eyes of the demons. His unimaginable strength is used for one purpose: rip and tear. The majority of the story takes place within a UAC research facility. It's revealed they were siphoning infinite resources from hell in order to solve the dire energy crisis on Earth. However, siphoning such power has its consequences. A corrupt scientist named Olivia Pierce began running experiments with the very energy that coursed through hell. Pierce violently unleashes hell's energy onto the Mars facility, causing everyone in the facility to transform into demons. The only other survivor of this outbreak is UAC chairman Dr. Samuel Hayden, who in a last-ditch effort to combat the demonic forces, awakens the Doomslayer. Throughout the game, you uncover secrets about the facility and the Doomslayer's past, as well as the true intentions of the UAC and Hayden himself. All of this culminates into a fantastic story that is both punchy and brutal all the way through, just like its gameplay. Speaking of which, 98% of you are not subscribed. You thought I was going to talk about the gameplay, didn't you? Well, I still am, just after I'm done with this, don't worry. If you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it, and it really helps me out. And thank you all for the support recently. It really means a lot to me. Now, onto the gameplay. Doom is known for its run-and-gun style of gameplay that encourages you to be both brutal and fast-paced. Part of the style is how you benefit from this aggression. With every glory kill, you are given health, and with every kill using the chainsaw, you are granted ammo. This system, though, is unforgiving, forcing you to live up to the title of Doomslayer. That shouldn't be a problem, though, given the power you hold in every fight. The guns in this game are fantastic, and every single one is viable. One of my favorite ways to play is to just scroll down and use whatever weapon falls into my hands. Unless it's the pistol, which gets outperformed pretty much immediately by everything else. Aside from that though, it's actually hard to pick a favorite weapon. However, in my opinion, the most iconic are the Super Shotty, which made its first appearance in Doom 2, the BFG 9000, also appropriately known as the Big Fucking Gun, and of course, the classic chain gun and rocket launcher. Throughout the game, you will receive both upgrade points and conversion kits for all of the weapons, minus the BFG and Super Shotty. These upgrades significantly change how the weapons behave and can lead to some pretty satisfying kills. With all these big-ass weapons, you need something to shoot. Well, it's a good thing this game has really good enemy variety. What can be seen as a mini-boss early in the game will end up becoming a standard enemy that gets tossed into the demon salad. I know I've mentioned glory kills a couple times in this video, but I feel like it's important to highlight these glorious animations. I mean, just look at this. It's also important to note the return of keycards and skull keys, which are iconic to the franchise. This is just another paragraph in the already lengthy love letter to the series that is Doom 2016. Doom's combat is directly intertwined with its use of music, creating a perfect symphony of both blood and metal. Now obviously what you're hearing is not the official Doom soundtrack. It's not on my bingo card this year to be smited by a copyright strike. But I feel like I'd be doing you all a disservice if I didn't dedicate a portion of the video to one of the greatest video game OSTs ever made. As a huge fan of metal, I have a constant stank face every time I play Doom, and there are a good amount of songs I find myself going back to. My blood pressure will never not rise when I hear At Doom's Gate or BFG Division. This rush of adrenaline is all thanks to Mick Gordon, who is a renowned and widely respected composer in the industry, especially by fans of Doom. Not only did he compose both Doom 2016 and its sequel Doom Eternal, but he also worked on the Wolfenstein games and Prey 2017, just to list a couple. He has also collabed on countless projects from known metal artists such as Motionless in White, Monuments, and Bring Me the Horizon, where he helped produce the album Post-Human Survival Horror, as well as the song Parasite Eve, which was heavily inspired by the sound of Gordon's work on Doom Eternal. All of his work done on Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal would lead him to no longer working alongside id Software, after internal arguments with both the final mixing of Doom Eternal and issues with wages not being met. Gordon directly called out Marty Stratton for abusive behavior, which led to an unsalvageable relationship with the company. He was quickly replaced by Andrew Holsholt and David Levi for the Ancient Gods DLC in Doom Eternal. They were also replaced, but this time by a company named Finishing Move, who are composing the soundtrack for the upcoming installment Doom: The Dark Ages. They have worked on both Borderlands 3 and Halo Wars 2, and were nominated for many awards for their work on Borderlands 3. So hopefully they can deliver a soundtrack that meets the standards already set by Mick Gordon, whose mark on the series will always be remembered. Now the most obvious change from the original games are the settings in the main menu. Nah, I'm just kidding, it's clearly the visuals, which are a massive step up from the 90s and can be used to display not only the leap in technology, but the change in visual style as well. Doom 2016 brought a modern and gritty look to the series while also maintaining somewhat of a classic retro feel. The design team constructed environments that blended both the futuristic aesthetic of the Mars facilities with the intense and brutal landscapes of Hell. They created a perfect dichotomy in a sense between the two environments, and it's safe to say that the game still looks great. It's held up incredibly well over the years and naturally blends with more recent games in terms of looks. Obviously, it's not a one-to-one reflection of recent games, but Doom 2016 still aged incredibly well into 2025. This is all thanks to the technology that was used to create the game. Doom 2016 utilizes the id Tech 6 engine. Unlike the original Doom, this engine implements PBR, which stands for physically based rendering. This software essentially allows for more complex lighting, making the environments feel more dynamic and full. This does a lot to help build the atmosphere throughout the games, especially in the complex environments. And not only are the environments complex, but they're also insanely detailed as well. Even though it feels more realistic and gritty, it still has aspects that can be considered cartoony. When I say cartoony, I don't mean the demons look like Fanboy and Chum Chum, but some of them do have elements that make them look less photorealistic and more creatively designed. This was the best possible move id Software could have made. The demons are very easy to pick out in a fight because of their designs. The designs as a whole are also very faithful to the original. If this game were to have been inspired by Doom 3, it would be a whole other story. Another great visual is the Doom Slayer himself. Even though you technically don't see him, well, except for his hands, which are now sporting some sick-ass gauntlets instead of those weird flesh-colored gloves that he had on before. I genuinely thought for the longest time bro just had 19 folds of skin. Looked gross as hell. But outside of his gloves, his armor is now more akin to Master Chief. If Master Chief was somehow more menacing and much more brutal. Doom Slayer is like his more violent, destructive stepbrother, but he only looks like this in Doom 2016. In Doom Eternal, he shows a little more skin. Just his arms, guys. Just his arms. And now they've got him wearing a fur cape in Dark Ages. Just when you thought he couldn't get more badass. On the note of Dark Ages, let's talk 2025. As of now, the official release date of Doom the Dark Ages is May 15th, 2025. This marks the third entry into the series and serves as a prequel to Doom 2016. The recent gameplay showcase is very promising and looks to be taking the series in a slightly different direction, but still maintaining what the fans love. It's adding new spins to aspects that are classic to the series, while also making sure the game brings something new to the franchise and is able to stand alone on its own 2 feet. I mean, progress is always the end goal. And if it weren't for progress, we wouldn't be able to ride a dragon or get into a mechanized version of the Doom Slayer. But this video is ultimately about Doom 2016 and where it stands in the light of 2025. Everything that is being culminated this year with the upcoming game and all the ideas that came from it is all because of Doom 2016 and its impact. Not only did this game revive the series, but it also brought a whole new wave of retro FPS games to the market. Games like Dusk and Forgive Me Father would not exist without Doom. Doom 2016 was the game that stood on the shoulders of giants. It came from the rich legacy of the Doom games that came before. Now Doom 2016 is among those giants with its own legacy to lift up future installments within the series. It is now the gold standard. If you enjoyed today's video, consider liking and subscribing. And to those of you who have already subscribed, thank you. It means the world to me. I'm trying to hit over 1,000 subs and create a community with all of you. Video creation has been a passion of mine for a long time, and I really enjoy making content for anyone who takes the time to just sit down and watch. So thank you all again for making it to the end of the video. Till next time, see ya.